Hi, guys. Welcome back to another quick book review. Um, in case you noticed, I've lost a lot of weight. So, this is part of my explanation for why I haven't been very productive on videos the last couple months. I've been starving myself, and in addition to my regular um, illness stuff, my regular health obstacles, the dieting was you know consuming. Anyway, um, Plato's Gorgias. I've always hated the title because I didn't know how to pronounce this. Um, now, it's been a long time since I studied Greek, and I was pretty sure that Greek doesn't have a soft G. So all the G's are hard. They're Gs, not J's. And so that would mean that to pronounce this title, it would be Gorgias or Gorgias. I'm not sure which is the better pronunciation. I looked it up, and one YouTuber had Gorgias, and it doesn't really matter to me. So first of all, this is Plato's third longest book or dialogue, the longest being The Laws, which scholars think was his latest, most mature work, and then The Republic, which is probably his best known, and then the Gorgias or Gorgias, um, which is about, I don't know, half the length of the Republic, maybe. In this edition, the final page of the dialogue takes you up to page 135. Um, it's wonderful. It's a masterpiece. Okay, the titular character in this, Gorgias or whatever, it was a real person, a real person, and a real known person. He was a rhetorician, a public speaker, taught public speaking, blah blah blah, and was famous. He wrote a book on rhetoric or on public speaking. It I'm pretty sure Aristotle references it in his rhetoric, which reminds me, I got to do some reviews of Aristotle. I read his rhetoric and his poetics, which are both short but extremely important. So maybe I'll do reviews of those in a couple days. I gotta focus on those, refresh my memory. So anyway, Gorgias, being a public speaker, you can kind of guess, wouldn't be Plato's favorite kind of guy or Socrates' favorite kind of guy. And this is for the very reason, or the how Plato and Socrates understand philosophy. Philosophy isn't about convincing anybody. It's about discovering the truth, no matter the cost. And it can be very impractical. It can be very antagonizing. As we know, Socrates got into a lot of trouble with his philosophizing. So that's kind of what the dialogue's about. Is first of all Socrates attacking the discipline of public speaking or rhetoric, and Gorgias doesn't make a strong appearance in the dialogue. He's there throughout, but he only speaks sort of at the beginning, and he allows his students or whatever to take over after that. And they're kind of an easier way for Plato to attack Gorgias, because he was so renowned and so on. So it's easier to attack his students than it is to attack him. Um, so that's what the dialogue's about. The real point or the real purpose of rhetoric is evil. Convincing people of things is wrong. It's evil, and the point of life is to discover the truth, and only after that can you share the truth. And you can very much imagine, even in our not even but especially in our culture today, how people understand as a basic truth of life: keep your opinions to yourself. I was listening to a YouTuber last night talking about what men should and shouldn't do with women or around women in the workplace. and this person was very, very, very cautious. Um, but and one thing he says, it's true. You never discuss politics or religion, and he also said feminism or something in the workplace. Don't ever do it. Um, the disasters of my life have been as a result of my inability to keep my damn mouth shut. So here I am doing YouTubes in the middle of the afternoon. Anyway, not that I don't enjoy it, but it doesn't make very much money. So, and Plato takes on that crux of the problem. Um, his interlocutors or his debaters basically say that rhetoric's the best thing because um, it increases your influence, increases your power, and so on in society. And Socrates says it doesn't really. And let me share with you my interpretation or my example of why it doesn't really increase your power. Socrates says, for instance, he says, I can stab anybody I want in the marketplace. So what's more power than that? He's not that he's going to. Um, if you've ever seen the movie, I think it's called The Death of Stalin, and I've probably mentioned it here before. I've read a lot of Russian history and Russian Revolution, blah, blah, blah stuff, books on Stalin. And one thing you'll note about Stalin is he's a true manifestation of the Gorgias position here. Stalin amassed power. He amassed absolute power in Russia over the span of, I don't know, from Lenin's death. When was Lenin's death? Somewhere in the early 30s, was it, or the late 20s, to Stalin's own death in the 50s. Sorry, the video paused there for a second. Wasn't sure what was going on. But the one thing you'll notice about Stalin is he got his power by executing everybody, any challenger, anybody at all, and that put him in he was painting himself in a corner, wasn't he? Because who after that would ever trust you? So say if you started off when you were when you were Lenin's successor as whatever premier or head of the Politburo or whatever his position was called, and you had 10 guys under you. Well, you murdered all those 10 guys over the next 5-10 years. So you point another 10 guys. Well, you murdered all them too. And then the other 10 guys, you kill about half of them. Well, the other half know what's coming. And so they're going to be thinking of the only way to get out of this is to murder Stalin. And Stalin's not an idiot. He realizes this. And so he has to isolate himself more and more from this chance. Okay. And the movie Death of Stalin is a masterpiece. It's comedy, but it's based upon really stark historical facts. And so you can picture that, like how many kings, um, even take Napoleon or whatever. Everybody hated him. Everybody wanted him dead. Well, everybody outside of France wanted him dead. So yeah, he's all powerful and so on. But Napoleon could never stop fighting. He could never stop war because because the other countries weren't going to just let France be, because they weren't having it. And so it was all out war for 20 years, nonstop, from the French Revolution to Waterloo. So live by the sword, die by the sword. And so this is kind of what Socrates is saying. He said, a peaceful life, where people trust you, you're honorable, you don't take advantage, um, you have a reputation for honor and generosity and kindness and self-sacrifice and community spirit and so on. He says that is a much safer way, isn't it? And if people know you love the truth no matter what, then they're going to see you as someone who's not self-interested, someone who's not going to betray people, but someone whose only loyalty is to the truth. And that and to to know the person is to know the truth, and to know the truth is to know the person, right? In that sense. So, you know, Socrates isn't interested in money. He's not interested in anything. He likes to have fun and tease and all that stuff, but he's not trying to amass power or anything. Um, the problem was his enemies thought he was, okay, in that sense, because I mean, he had some other powerful friends, and the friend of my enemy is my enemy, right? So the Gorgias is a is in a sense a perfect synthesis or epitomization of Plato's views of life. And I shouldn't say his views of life. My fundamental Platonic uh, notion is that the dialogues are not about teaching anything other than methodology. The dialogues are not about anything other than teaching methodology. They're not advocacies of anything. So I don't want to hear anyone saying, Plato taught that in the Republic, Plato taught that children should be common property and blah, blah, blah. Well, that, my friend, shows you don't understand Plato. Okay. Plato wasn't advocating anything, he was following trains of thought. And these trains of thought are true or truish if they produce good logical results, and they're absurd and false if they produce absurd results. So, who's to say that Plato wasn't actually saying, okay, we ended up in a position here where children are being held in common, they don't know their moms and their dads. Is this a good thing? Or is this proof that the initial premise was flawed, right? So, until you can answer that, then don't tell me that Plato thought that children should be common property of the state. And there's a million other positions like that. The Platonic notion is all that matters is truth, contemplation of truth, nothing else. That's it. And this was Plato taking on pragmatism. Okay, so philosophy versus pragmatism. Now, at my age, having been an idealist my whole life, and now having washed up on the shores of uselessness and infamy and failure, um, the tendency for someone like me would be to say, whoops, I shouldn't have been an idealist. I should have been more pragmatic. Well, I can look at all the mistakes I made in life, but the only joy, frankly, that I had then and still have is my pursuit of truth and beauty and whatever and goodness, right? And that's it. So I failed in a worldly sense, but would I change it? No, Plato's still my master. Um, and I'm still following this stupid, lonely path of truth. Okay, so if you want to understand what Plato's all about, read the Gorgias. You can read his shorter dialogues too, and they'll teach you a lot. But generally, they're more focused on uh, particular notions, particular ideas, whether justice or piety or whatever. And and then Plato, of course, his method go from the particular to the general and then back to the particular, right? So you can figure out the basics of Plato's approach to truth, philosophy. Gorgias is a much broader, bigger, and also very focused on what is philosophy versus what are the near approximations of philosophy or bastardized positions of philosophy. Um, and rhetoric or sophistry or whatever, these are bastardizations of the right Socratic method. Anyway, thanks very much for listening, guys. We'll be back with some more reviews, some more philosophy, some Plato, some more of everything. Thanks very much. I'm not really sure how these live videos work, how long it takes YouTube to upload them or whatever, but we'll see you when we see you. Thanks. Bye now.